Love the show, and you should check out my buddy Rod Morgan's pod, The Morgan You Know, as I'm confident he's primed to make some waves on the scene.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Morgan You Know podcast, a conversation show about sports and sometimes entertainment, all the time fun. Joining me are three fellas to help me do this. First, I'm going to bring in the executive producer of this podcast, the man who helps make all of this possible. If not, we would basically just be talking to one another through text messaging. Probably that's how we would do this every Thursday night. But Jim Riska, our executive producer / co-host, allows us to come at you live on Facebook or however you are consuming this later. We appreciate you.
Well, thank you. And I don't think we could broadcast our chat. We couldn't do that, Rod. We would go to jail. It would not be good. This is better. Let's just broadcast this.
I think if we could, again, when we go to Patreon level, Jim, we could do it and we could have people sign a waiver that they are not allowed to hold us financially responsible or release publicly. We could maybe do it. People would pay a lot of money for that. There's some of the greatest jokes ever told are in that group thread, never to be shown to man. A man who may have cracked one of those, maybe he didn't crack one of those. You'll never know, as Jimmy just said. But he's our good friend, Chris King, down there in Bloomington. Hello, Chris.
What is up, fellas? We now have, 6 months until the next NFL season starts up?
Well, there we go. Chris just getting us on a sour note right to start with. And somebody else who's definitely sour about that is our football handicapper, Josh Williams. I know he loves the draft, and I know he loves college football, but part of his heart has to die just a little bit when he doesn't have week-to-week football games to look forward to anymore.
Yes, I for the record, I like college basketball way better than college football. But
that's what I meant to say. I just misspoke. So thanks for calling me out right off the jump.
We had a memorable college football season, so we're all good. It's all good.
Speaking of off the jump, I like to start with something I call the cold open question of the week. It warms us up a little bit, if you will. It gives you an insight as to a little bit more of what we might be about instead of just sports takery. And we had a huge entertainment event that the country comes together for. Around 126 million people at some point all came together to watch this Super Bowl. And my question for you, gentlemen, is simple. What is the difference between a palooza and an extravaganza? Jim Riska, I start with you. What is the difference between a palooza and an extravaganza?
So I think a palooza is more of a centralized, focused, big event where it's like a smaller area. An extravaganza is kind of more of like global world. You're going on a bigger scale. So I had extravaganza, I believe, is bigger than a palooza, in my opinion. The palooza is just kind of a centralized thing where an extravaganza is bigger than that.
So we're talking cubic feet for you. Cubic feet
yes,
is really the differentiator.
Yeah, it's a mathematical equation, really. Yeah, it's like pi and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Chris King, you've been around a lot longer than all of us. I wonder.
What kind of question is that?
It's a great question, Jimmy. You stop it. Chris, what's the difference between a palooza and an extravaganza?
Class. Really, and to be honest, it's not just about class. The extravaganza is classy. The Lollapalooza or whatever it is for the have-nots. You have rich people go to extravaganzas, poor people go to paloozas. That's the difference.
Okay, so for Chris, it is monetary. For Jimmy, it is about cubic feet. Mr. Williams, what differentiates a palooza and an extravaganza in your mind?
Yeah, I think they're both right. But isn't a palooza more days or more time leading up to the palooza? An extravaganza is just like one event. Isn't a palooza like multiple events? I don't know.
Okay, so for you, it's frequency. You're saying a palooza is a frequency of a set event, and an extravaganza is maybe something that just happens once.
Yeah, but the palooza could be like 4 or 5 days long.
Okay, so I love that all of you guys chose to go literal and like wanted to answer the question. I don't know if that's just because they thought that's what I wanted or not, but like you guys could have said anything there, right? Like an extravaganza involves animals, right? Like you can't have an extravaganza unless somebody gets to pet a horse or look at a giraffe. You know what I mean? Or like a Lollapalooza is food has to be served. I don't know. We could have said anything, but I love that you gentlemen went so literal. And if you're just tuning into the Morgan You Know podcast for the first time or catching us on social, more of that kind of literal thinking out of these three gentlemen as we move on to talk about the Super Bowl. Mr. Williams, the Super Bowl is one of the most bet football games in the world, and it gets underway right from the jump with the coin toss. How much money was moving hands on the coin toss this year?
Yeah, this is wild. Someone walked into Caesars and bet 100,000 on tails for the coin toss. Not to be outdone, another bettor walked into Caesars 2 hours before the game and dropped $250K on heads. Walks out a winner. Unbelievable. I mean, that's insane.
So $250,000 on the coin turning heads won that gentleman how much?
Yeah, I think he got like minus 105 on it. So it's probably like 242,000 or something like that. I mean, it's almost even money.
So he made back his money, but he had to put up a substantial sum at the front to be able to get that kind of a number.
Yeah, I think he put up so he bet 250,000 and then walked out of there with what 492,000.
Cool, $500,000.
Yeah, not bad. I certainly was not placing that kind of a wager, nor did I place any wager on the Super Bowl. Mr. Williams, I'm not asking you monetary wise here, but how did you do? We all know you placed some wagers on the Super Bowl. Did you come out all right? Did you feel like you had it figured out? How did we fare?
No, I came out good, but it could have been monumental. I was in second place in a little $3 DFS tournament on DraftKings with 328,000 entries. I was in second place in the second quarter. So I just didn't factor in Drake May's garbage time points in the fourth quarter. That's what ended up killing me. But if you want to break this down here, the Seahawks allowed 28 points per game to the Rams this year. They allowed 14 to everyone else. So
wow.
The Seahawks just really had like a Matt Stafford problem, really. And you think back to their other
MVP of the league, Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I mean he's just placing bullets. Like you got to place dimes like right in the area to beat the Seattle team. And you got to have a quarterback that is willing to take some chances. If you remember back, maybe Seattle's worst defensive performance all year was early at home against Tampa Bay and your Baker Mayfield led Bucks, Rod. And we know Baker, especially early on in the year when he's healthy, man, he loves to take chances. And I think the Bucks put up like 38 points on him. But that was the turning point because Mike McDonald said like that was the game that turned our defense around, that got our defense attention. So we said that Seattle would ramp up the cover 6 coverage versus the young Drake May. First drive right off the bat, 63% cover 6, highest rate Seattle played all year. How did May fare on these dropbacks? Well, not good, Bob. Negative EPA per dropback plus 3 sacks taken. Now, they played single high cover 3 a majority of the time in the second and third quarters, the Seahawks did. Why did that work so well? Because Seattle had only used that coverage at a bottom 5 rate. McDonald knew that the Patriots coaching staff probably didn't go over this with May all that much in the 2 weeks leading up to the big game. What happened? The young QB was confused. He had even worse numbers versus cover 3 than he did versus cover 6 in the Super Bowl. And just to throw this out, DVOA-wise, historically, there was only 3 teams with a higher DVOA than this year's Seattle team. Those 3 teams, the 85 Bears, the 07 Patriots, and the 91 super underrated Washington Redskins team. Big reason why that DVOA ranking was so high all time for Seattle. Seattle, the number 1 healthiest team in the league in 2025. And we talk about adding another game to the schedule. Attrition plays so much a part of this. And we saw in the AFC playoffs, with Bo Nix going out, and really New England was pretty fortunate to even play in the Super Bowl, in my opinion.
There we look at that. Williams knew as if I was going there next. Chris, we all know what you're going to say about New England, so I'll give you the chance after Jimmy Jam here. Jimmy, what are we to think about this as AFC guys, right? I know you're a Bears guy. You got the Bears hat on, but you're also a Colts guy. You know a fair share about the AFC. What are we to think about the Patriots going to the AFC or to the Super Bowl, and then looking like this?
It was a young team that was a year or two ahead of where they should have been. They got lucky with some weather situations where they were able to get it out. Listen, I think if you're a Patriots fan, you got to feel really good about this. Drake May obviously was not 100%. He was hurt. He was getting destroyed for 3 straight weeks by all these defenses. He got sacked over 100 times, I think, this year. You've got to be really happy with your team if you're the Patriots. As far as the AFC goes, it's fine. They'll come back next year. There's going to be some teams that were hurt this year that will be better, and that Patriots team just needs to focus on their offensive line and get him some help.
All right, Chris, we all know that you had a problem with the coaching in New England the last time that they made it to the Super Bowl. Do you think that this is a Mike Vrabel problem in New England, or do you think this is just all about Seattle?
This is more about Seattle, I think, than it is New England. I do think Vrabel made some mistakes. You got to go for it on 4th and 1 there at your own 40. You got to make some more, take some risk if in the Super Bowl. You don't get another shot, right? I also think that you'll see some regression next year once New England gets a tougher schedule because they're going to have a stronger schedule next year than they did this year. We've heard Williams talk about their strength of schedule. I think if Knicks plays in that Denver game, Denver wins that AFC Championship game instead of New England because I think they really expose the weakness in the offensive line that they have. So New England's going to have some work cut out for them this offseason if they want to get back there. But that Seattle defense is top-notch.
They certainly are. I think this game's an awful lot more about the Seahawks. I really do. I predict the Seahawks are going to win. I didn't think that they'd win it in this much of a walkover. But Williams, I want to go to the New England offensive line here a little bit, right? We all heard about Will Campbell's arm length, right? But at the end of the day, they still drafted an offensive tackle in the top of the draft, right? And we didn't hear much about their protection all year long. They were able to piece it together well enough. Like, what are we to think about the performance of the New England offensive line? Is this just all about how good Seattle is and McDonald schemed it up? Or this is like, man, there was a huge problem in New England that we didn't see coming?
No, there's been some reports out that Will Campbell was not truly healthy for this game, but I don't really think that's a huge issue with the Patriots. Vrabel has come out and said that Campbell will play left tackle next year. Now, depending on how he does, they might move him into guard because he does have short hands. But I think what we talked about, short arms, whatever,
small hands.
I think what we talked about though, when Seattle plays cover 6, that makes May hold the ball longer, and when you hold the ball longer, that Seattle defensive line can get pressure on May. And when you have a young quarterback who is just like not used to that pressure, mistakes are going to happen. And he said before the Denver game, May said, it's all right to take a sack. It's all right to take a sack. And honestly, if Houston and Denver just would have done that against New England, they probably would have beat them. So it was clear to me that Vrabel in the first 9 drives, because they all ended up in punts, he was waiting on Sam Darnold to make a mistake. Vrabel was. And Sam Darnold almost made a mistake on the first pass of the game. It was almost a pick 6. And then Mike McDonald was like, oh, you're not going to outdo me. We're just going to hand the ball off to Kenneth Walker because I think our defense is better than your defense. So I think that was basically the game plan, which we basically called this. And I mean, I think we are all basically called this. It's going to be a low-scoring, boring game with a bunch of field goals and sacks, and I think we pretty much nailed this.
The other thing that I found interesting about this game is you said Kenneth Walker's name right there. I think, what is it about the Super Bowl where guys with just like completely average names who aren't necessarily considered great backs run like crazy, right? The Super Bowl record, some guy named Timmy Smith, right, from the Washington team all these years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, you get into these games. And then you said it yourself, Williams. I think we talk about coaching on this podcast so often because it really is the difference in the NFL. I think we've just seen it time and time and time again. And McDonald schemed this defense up, and we gave Vrabel a whole lot of credit this year for being a great coach. But I think it kind of comes down to they had an easy schedule. It's something else we talk about on this podcast all the time. Williams, you'll bring up schedule at the beginning of the year, and you will talk coaching. And we will hear both of those things from you before we know it. But like you said yourself, be prepared to come on, talk some March Madness with us, college basketball, right? You're excited for that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're not paying attention to this year's college basketball season, you need to get on board because this is probably the most exciting season since 2015, and I can't think of another season where there's been so many really good teams at the top of the rankings. So it's going to be a fun March Madness.
Listen, I will say this: at least the number one pick this year is going to be playing in March Madness. It's not going to be a guy coming from overseas. Not that I have a problem with Victor Wembanyama, but it's cool that I can at least tune in and see who the guy might be. So we'll be diving into some college football. And the draft is when, Mr. Williams?
April 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
That's why he's our football handicapper. We're going to have him back then. We'll have him back around May because I'll make him pick something for the Kentucky Derby. And he's got some March Madness. Other than that, he's going to have some time off. So, Mr. Williams, do you have any parting words for the Morgan Nation about this year's football season?
Well, I got to give me and Chris a shout out because we ended up winning the Super Bowl props, Propapalooza or extravaganza, whatever you want to call it. And it was crazy because we had I think we picked 6 different out of the 8 and somehow we tied. So, yeah, that was fun.
Fun season indeed. We are going to transition and talk about some basketball. Mr. Williams is going to be exiting us, and we're going to be bringing in another special guest to talk some NBA and run the fast break.
See you guys.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. We're going to bring in a Dak Storm talking about the Pacers here pretty soon. Chris is here. Rod is here as always. Gentlemen, the NBA's All-Star Weekend is coming up very shortly. And a team that has an All-Star, of course, is our Indiana Pacers. But the person who sees more Pacers games than anyone, I think he's actually watching one now, Dak Storm. Dax, how are you, bud?
Hey, good evening, guys. Actually got the Butler game on, but yeah, I've been flipping back and forth with the Pacers.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, been an interesting season. The Pacers are in their tank mode, if you will, but they also made a big trade. So as a person who pays their good money to go see the Pacers, how has the season been for you, and how do you feel that trade helped or hurt the season for you?
Well, I like the trade, number one. I think that I really like Ben Mathurin. Ben Mathurin was a big fan favorite. He really produced really well for the Pacers when he was out there. But the biggest thing was the Pacers needed a center, so I think they really got they got the ideal guy who I wanted. I know that a lot of people around the local media fans are not really sure who this guy is. He's not really a household name, but I think once he's healthy and Tyrese is on the floor, it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, with this season of mine, as far as showing up to games and you're like, well, here we go. We're keeping them close on some games, and then there's other games that are blowouts. And we've had the most starting lineups in the league this year. And it's injuries have been. I know every team has injuries, but it just seems like they're just piling up on this team, and it's been frustrating, But at least after the trade, I think the Pacers fans have something to look forward to, as far as getting guys on the floor for next year. I hate always forward like, next season, but that's kind of the deal here in Indianapolis.
Rod, it's such a shame. You get Zubac in, he's brand new, let's go. And he got that pesky ankle injury that's going to have him out for a little while. That's just stinks, doesn't it, Rod?
Jimmy, it definitely stinks. And the other thing that stinks for Dax is he needs to have one person and one person only hear some of his gripes as a season ticket holder, and that is Adam J. Silver. And I got Rod Nation fired up for him right now. Let's go, Jimmy. Hit my music. We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying. I don't understand no more distractions, but I do believe we should all follow one path in life. Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie. All right, so listen, they say that it's best to try to kill him with a compliment, right? So let me start here. Adam Silver, you're a great lawyer, my guy. You have hammered out some absolutely fabulous business contracts for the league, okay? Congratulations. But you, my friend, are what we call not a wartime consigliere. All right. You could sit here and hammer out these business contracts all you want and tell me how popular your league is on social media and how much money you're making from your media rights deal. But there are barbarians at the gate right now as we speak, Mr. Silver. Okay. You need to innovate or die. And I am sick and tired of all of the things the NBA shows in action for. Okay. We've heard all about Kawhi and the Clippers and salary cap circumvention. What's happened there? Absolutely nothing. We're about to have the All-Star game at Intuit Dome. Absolutely nothing has happened there. We are in a cycle of talking about tanking for 5 to 6 to 7 straight years, every year, right around this time. And what is done? We are in a cycle of everybody agreeing that there are too many regular season basketball games. Players are getting hurt on an record basis, and it all points to one thing: changes need to be made. And there's only one man that can make them, Adam J. Silver, and he sits up in his ivory tower in New York and does absolutely nothing. Adam, my guy, owners are going to get mad at you. They are. I'm sorry, but you need to tell them right now, guys, 6 less home games a year. Boom. 12 less games a year, down to 70. That helps you on injuries. That helps you on tanking. And that makes it so people, when they buy tickets to come to your games, can see the stars. Poor Dax and all the Pacers fans. Every single star that's rolled through Indianapolis is sat down this year because the Pacers on our national TV and everybody knows it's not going to be a tough game. That's not fair. Silver, you're the only one that can do something. It's wartime, bud, and I don't think you know it.
Someone we haven't heard from yet. Chris King is in the house. And Chris, I'm going to start with you on this one. Tanking is obviously something that we've been starting to talk about since like November already. Okay. It is February and the season still has a couple months to go. And we're talking too much about this tanking. You are Adam Silver's number one person he goes to. I know you guys text back and forth, write letters and all that. What are you telling him right now to do to stop tanking?
Relegation. You want to stop teams and franchises from tanking? Threaten them with sending them back down to the G League. All right? Bring up the winner of the G League. Like it is the one thing about European soccer or European football that I actually get behind. If your franchise isn't doing enough to win, then you're going to get relegated to a lower division. And that means less revenue. That means less fan interaction. That means you are getting a strict punishment for not attempting to win. Because right now, there's nothing that anybody can do to stop these teams from tanking. These owners can do whatever they want. They can sit or make their rosters up however they want, and there is nothing that hurts them. Because they're going to get enough money through the TV deals and everything else to keep them afloat. They don't need to sell out every single game. I think that's about the only thing. I can't think of another type of punishment for a franchise other than that would make a team not want to tank right now.
Okay, so I'm going to go to everyone to kind of talk about what you had to say, and then I'll get your opinions, guys, on what you want to say as well. So for relegation, you'd have to get all the owners to agree to that. And then you'd want all the teams would want to beat those teams to get them into relegation. So no one's going to be tanking. Not a horrible idea, in my opinion, there. It's only you have to get all the owners to agree to that.
We got to get all the owners to agree to anything, right? Like, yeah,
that's correct.
Adam Silver needs to step up and do some things. But he can only do the things that the ownerships are going to allow him to do. Because if the owners aren't happy with him, they can just sack him and get another commissioner if they really want. I mean, they're allowed to do that.
Guys, I am going to let you get in, but my idea is pretty close to his, so I'm going to kind of throw mine in real quick. But instead of relegation, because a G League team is actually like the minor league team of the NBA, so that'd be kind of interesting there. I say if your team is in the bottom 3 of losses for 3 consecutive years, that 4th year, you do not get revenue sharing. You don't get any of the money, and that money is then divided through all the other teams. So you have all the other teams that want that money, And all the teams that are losing don't want to give up that money, so everyone then tries to win. So still kind of a relegation thing. Dax, let's go to you. A relegation, taking away money, is that going to be the way the NBA wants people to win, when they focus on winning instead of focusing on losing?
I mean, I think you guys have really good ideas, but I just don't ever see that thing. I don't ever see that happening. I really don't. I mean, I know that we're just kind of hypothetically speaking, but just I think that with there will always be an excuse. There will always be an injury. You think the players want to go out there. You know that the players want to go out there and they want to win. They just can't control who's in the lineup and who gets played. And so I always think there's going to be that gray area, no matter what type of regulation or fine you put in place, that somebody's going to find a way to skirt around it. I mean, they try to do the ping pong balls, and then you still have, the chaos that's going on right now, the race to the bottom.
Rod, we've got the relegation, taking some money away. Any chance that happens at all ever?
I mean, I propose that we lessen the season, so they're going to have to lose money that way. So, Chris is not way off base there, that, I agree with him that Adam Silver is going to have to try to get something unpopular with the owners passed for the good of the game long term, a.k.a. Rob Manfred. I mean, friggin' baseball, Jimmy, they innovated or died. You know what I mean? Rob Manfred was like, all you guys are bitching at me, but you be damned, and I haven't come back to baseball, but I'll tell you, I've considered it. And it's because Rob Manfred has changed the game. And you guys have all told me that it's easier and better to watch baseball. So I don't see why basketball can't do the same thing. My idea is, I think, a little more palatable, because I think what you have to do is you have to incentivize winning at all costs, right? So what I say we do is we flip the way that draft picks are decided now. We invert it, right? Instead of the worst team gets the number one pick, the team that just missed the playoffs gets the number one pick. And then we invert the playoff standings as well. You don't get relegated all the way back to the end for winning the championship. If you win the championship, you get pick number, the first one right after the lottery. So you're basically incentivized to keep winning to try to improve your draft pick. The more you win, the better you're going to be. And I don't want to completely take away bottom teams get higher priority for the new incoming talent than the top teams, because I do agree that it ultimately is better for competitive balance and fandom if everybody has a shot within a couple of years of getting back up to the top. And if you only make it where your teams that win get the top draft picks, it's going to be really hard to climb from the bottom.
Let me ask you this, Rod, because you brought up something that made me think. What if we had a secondary playoff bracket that coincides with the actual playoffs, right? Where you have your bottom 10 teams or your bottom 8 teams go into a little mini playoff, and whoever wins that ends up getting the number one pick, right? So yeah,
I'm not against it. I'll tell you why, because I think you could get some coaches behind it, because they love getting players more work, right? And then these games are going to have some stakes to them, kind of the way that the NBA Cup is supposed to have stakes to them. And I also have played a couple of seasons of 2K, which is exactly like real life, right? Where this is a thing that they propose, and then it actually has been done in seasons that I've simulated, where that is the playoff, and then concurrent to the playoffs that are going on, you see the bracket for the team that's fighting to win their right to the number one pick. So more games I worry about injury wise, Chris, but I wouldn't really be opposed to that, because I just think we got to try to incentivize winning. And like Dax said, the more regulations you come up with, people are going to try to find ways around. In my world, right, winning is the only thing that's going to change your draft pick.
So that's how you take away the regular season games, but you add those playoff games, so they still get more games at the end. So you're still going to be playing that many games for sure. So we have the tanking, which is a big issue. The All-Star game's coming up as well here in about a week or so. And the slam dunk contest has 4 people that hardly anyone's heard of. The All-Star teams, I don't even know what the teams are going. Nick Wright had an idea today, or yesterday, I guess, on the Bill Simmons podcast that I believe he took from the Morgan You Know podcast. And I believe he took that from the Mr. Morgan You Know. His idea, if you really want to get this taken care of, and it's all based on Con Knipple apparently, is you have all the white guys against all the non-white guys, and that's your game, and everyone will play hard. Rod, you've been vindicated.
Listen, I'm telling you, I've told you guys from day one when I brought up the white American list that it was not about exclusion. It was just about celebration. Okay. I told you guys that from the start, and that's what I believe this game would be about. We are just celebrating. Okay. What people choose to be motivated on their insides, we can't do a thing about. So if we think to ourselves, will there be one team pretty motivated to not beat the other team? Or to make sure they don't lose to the other team or vice versa? I kind of think there will be. So I think, sure, we could throw money around and tell these guys that they get a bonus if they win. But if there's a team of non-white fellows that lose to all the white guys, I kind of think that might hurt their pride a little bit. And then if there's a team of white guys who manage to beat the non-white team, they're going to be pretty darn fired up and excited to do so. So if we really want guys playing hard for the All-Star game, I think this might do it, Jim.
I loved every single second of that. I just thought that was funny that they took your idea and went with it, and it's on a national broadcast. Going back to Dax here, how is, and the Pacers, how is the atmosphere in the arena? Are people just depressed? Do people still enjoy going there? Are they waiting for next season? Kind of talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, it seems like everybody still has a good time. I mean, Rod and Chris joined me for a game this year, and it was a pretty lively.
How was that game? Was that a fun game, Rod?
I didn't like that one that much, Jim.
Yeah,
okay. So go ahead, Dax. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the people there were great, right? But no, like the stadium still, it definitely has those moments where you hear the fans, making the comments, and I think everybody knows what's going on. But still, I mean, it's still fun to root for them, and if they pull out a win, cool. And they have half price beer before tip off, so I think that gets a lot of fans excited too.
Dax, let's get down to the brass tacks of it right now. Let's just get down to the brass tacks of it. We all know the protections that are attached with this Zubac pick. Do you want to see Zubac play and the Pacers continue to win and then have it blocked because it is picked 10 through 30? Or do you want the Pacers to ultimately still get the draft pick and lose and be 1 through 4? What do you want as a Pacers fan that goes to the arena?
Well, I mean, honestly, you want the bigger draft pick, but you just don't want to see the team lose. So, which, you can't have both, So, yeah, you got to pick one, right? I would like to see Zubac play. I really would. I think that he would be I think it'd be fun just to get him out there and get him acclimated with the team. But it's one of those things where I think as soon as he gets in and then maybe like Obi gets in, you'll start seeing some subtraction of other players. And then who knows, another phantom injury. It's hard to tell, but I would like to see him play this year. I really would. I think he's going to play I think he's going to play Sunday against the Mavs. Not this Sunday, obviously, because All-Star, but that's my guess. Sunday, he's gonna make his home appearance and probably play a couple games, and then who knows.
All right. Speaking about injuries, Chris, I know you're playing hurt today, and I appreciate you still coming on with us. We didn't really hit it as much as we wanted to last week, so let's just real quick here. Same question to you that Rod asked. Do you want them to get that 1 to 4, which means they're going to have to lose a lot, or do you want them to win and get that 10 through 30? What is your goal right now? What do you want to see them have? What do you want to see happen?
I always want to see them win. It's the Pacers have been a successful franchise, and what's the best pick we've ever had? Like the 5th overall pick, right? In the NBA draft. I don't think we've ever had a top 4 pick. And we've been a success. Huh?
Isn't one of the highest guys? Isn't one of the highest guys they've ever picked?
That's the frozen envelope thing with Ewing. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, but didn't they also like the guy they just shipped out of town was all I was going to say. It was one of their other high draft.
It was like 5 or 6, wasn't he?
6.
Yeah. So like still, that pick is just still a literal lottery ticket, right? You don't know. You could lose. You could win. I don't put as much value onto those as I do before. We saw some great players get drafted by the Pacers or come to the Pacers and play that were not those high picks. They were mid first rounders. early second rounders, right? Paul George was not a top pick. He was like pick number 13 that year he got drafted. So there never is a guarantee that that 1 through 4 pick is going to work out to be a future all-star or anything. So I want to see my team win. So let Zubac play. Let's win some games. Let's try to get to the play-in game. I think I don't know if we'll ever be healthy enough this year because every time we turn around, somebody else is getting hurt and out for the year. Furphy just went down, right? So there's another guy that's lost for the year. So I still always want to watch my teams win. I'm not worried about the future. I can't control what happens in the future. I can only really care about what's happening now in the present.
Furphy could have been 11th man on that All-Star team in 2028. You know, he could have been there. Hopefully he gets back. Dax, I'm going to ask you who your favorite non-Pacer has been to watch this season in person. I haven't had the chance to watch this person in person, but yesterday I just want to talk about Victor Wembanyama. I watched him yesterday against the Lakers score 26 of 31 first quarter points. It's just watching him just for a few minutes is unbelievable, Rod. Can you believe he moves that quickly, that effortlessly, and can just do whatever he wants to do?
I'm not trying to take anything away from Victor here because he is all of those things, but I think there's a number of NBA players that could have done that against that Lakers roster that he was going up against last night.
I was going to bring that up next. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, he is still all of those things. That's what I mean. I'm not trying to take away from him. Like, it's just, you say, oh, he's so tall, right? But then when you see it in action, you realize what it actually means, right? He can get balls to the rim that other players can't, right? Like, you think you've got him stopped and then he's dunking. You know what I mean? Like, you think that you've gotten yourself to the rim and he's still blocking it. You know what I mean? So like just that length and reach and his ability to move better than anybody I've ever seen that tall, right? I mean, anybody I've ever seen that tall. Because Shaq was a hell of an athlete, don't get me wrong. But Wembanyama was like a ballerina out there, and Shaq wasn't a ballerina. You know what I mean? Maybe Olajuwon, but I think Wembanyama's faster and even a little more agile than even Akeem was. So, I mean, it's like he's doing stuff we've never seen before, and I think lots of guys could have torched the Lakers last night, but Wembanyama is good.
All right, Dax, I think I gave you enough time to think. Who's been your favorite person to watch in person this year go against the Pacers?
It's funny you mentioned Wembanyama, and they already rolled through, but like we talked about earlier, they sat him because it was the Pacers. I don't know if I really have necessarily. I've seen a lot of players like have really good games against the Pacers this year on opposing teams, and it's. But I'll tell you what, the matchup that any Knicks game, we always love the Knicks games. Always get excited for that. But I'll say when Miles Turner came back, and the two times that he's come back, and just to hear the fans, the reaction towards him was probably the most memorable, I think, so far this season as far as how he was treated. Ben Mathurin comes back later this year with the Clippers, so I bet he gets a round of applause, and I'll be giving him a round of applause. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the high profile names they usually are out of town, didn't make the flight, or were riding the bench.
So even though Miles Turner said some interesting things about Indianapolis, were they both positive reactions to him?
Well, yeah, no, not at all. We kind of talked about it before the game with different fans. We're like, how's the crowd? Oh, I'm gonna boo him. People were saying, and I'm like, I'm just gonna see what happens. Well, before the game even really started, they were gonna do a tribute. Okay, so they were like, this is how it went. Fans, please direct your attention. And before they could say to the main board for this special tribute to Miles Turner, fans just started raining boos. Just please turn your attention, boo, and then it just rained boos the entire time, and it was wow, it was pretty vicious, And but that was I've never seen that. Paul George comes back, everybody gives him heck, But that was a different level, So
yeah, I think the words that he said about the fans and the Pacers didn't really match up with reality as much. And I think that's really does hurt you coming back. You could have been nice about it, but you felt wronged, and that's fine. You felt wronged by the management, but again, it's not the fans' fault, and they really love Miles Turner. I mean, for years and years and years. I know, Chris, he was one of your favorites.
Yeah, no, that's always unfortunate, right? And you never know necessarily why a player's going to come out and do that. Like, he had his own fan section in the crowd for years and years, right? Like, I think if he would have kept that, like, hey, my anger is towards management, not to the fans or the city, it would have been a completely different reaction when he came back.
All right, so we're going to transition here to a couple of possible playoff matchups that we could have. As of now, the Cavs and Sixers could be a first-round playoff matchup, and we're going to be talking all about that if that happens. We're not going to talk about tanking, but we also could have a Hornets-Pistons matchup to start the playoffs, which would be amazing because, gentlemen, I'm not sure if you realize this or not, they're going to be without a lot of their players because of that gigantic fight with, Rod, I've seen you mad. Not going to lie. Chris, I've seen you mad on text. Not going to lie. Dax, I don't think you've ever been mad. Diabate, Rod, he was a little upset, wasn't he?
The moose was definitely loose. I was watching the Charlotte Hornets broadcast because I love me some Eric Collins and Del Curry, and they just kept reiterating. They're like, I've never seen Musa like this. Like, they were just in complete shock that he was an absolute raving lunatic for 122nd straight, like just plowing over coaches and teammates and trying to get his hands on Pistons. And listen, if people are going to start squaring up and fight, beef stew is going to come running. All right. Like, that's just a thing that we all know as NBA fans. He doesn't even have to be in your arena. If you start fighting, there's a good chance beef stew is going to come running down the aisle like it's the Royal Rumble, like he's got theme music, like glass just broke and everything. So he went in there because, quite frankly, Miles Bridges, my guy, you're not very well liked for very, very, very good reasons, but you were also a complete friggin' snake in that fight. Like, to sneak around everybody the way you did and to try to roll up and to get sucker punches in, absolutely terrible. And I'll turn it over to the fellas after this. Jalen Duren, you got off lucky. All right. Yes, all you did was push somebody in the face and then try to stop, but you started the whole deal and only got 2 games.
Chris, how fun was that?
I mean, it's odd, right? There is a generation of basketball fans out there that watch the NBA that weren't around for the malice in the palace. They weren't around for this type of beef, no pun intended, between teams, right? So I think it's nice. Like, I enjoy watching basketball when the teams don't like each other, when players don't like each other. I think that's one thing why we have all-star games that aren't as exciting anymore, because players aren't as invested in beating up the other players as much or showing who's better. Like, the too many friends in the NBA.
The other players.
I'm just saying, like, I enjoy some heated rivalries. And if this is a new rivalry between the Pistons and the Hornets get into the playoffs and end up playing the Pistons in that first round, that makes it must-watch TV instantly.
So, Dax, are you more of the Duncan Robinson type, which he looked at that and said, that's not me, and walked away? Or are you more of the Isaiah Stewart who would come in and start fighting people?
I definitely wouldn't be walking away if I saw that by Duncan, and I'm like, God, really? I'm like, I bet you he's going to get so much crap from his teammates. Like, but you can't be charging from off the bench. I mean, I don't know. You're young and you're in the NBA and everybody's all heated. Yeah, I'm sure I probably would have done the same thing back in the day, but yeah, I mean, but what are you going to do? It's typical Pistons.
So, Dax, I know you are a longtime friend and longtime listener to the show, and every year we do a Wins League draft. And, of course, like the NBA should have done, we had to kind of blow up the Wins League a little bit because it just wasn't fair to Rod and Chris, because I won every single week, every single year.
Now, hold on. Hold on just a second. I never said it wasn't fair because you won. I said it wasn't exciting because there was such a gap between you and second place.
Rod was upset that I was beating him so bad. So they had to bring in a couple of ringers who obviously aren't on the show now because they are very busy at what they do. and I haven't been winning, and I'm not very happy about that. So next year, I'm blowing it up again. So this wins league right now, Chris, you are at the bottom of the wins league. How's it feel? 148 wins. All right, Chris is very upset. That's not good, Chris. I'm sorry. You're very
feels
upset.
like last year. Feels like the same.
Your Pacers, Jazz, and Grizzlies, not very good right there. Derek is 154 with the Cleveland Cavaliers being his first overall pick. He thought the Bulls were going to be a great pick, but they really haven't been. The Nets and Mavs as well. Then you have lowly Jimbo here with 164 wins. You know, the Pelicans should be better. They're a good team that just loses every game, and they're good. Come on.
They're trying.
Rod and Wu-Tang are tied at 168 wins apiece. There's so many teams in the NBA, though, Chris, that we need to go to the Kings. Hardwood hierarchy. Gotta go live.
All right. Because oh, there we go.
What are you doing?
I think
for how long? What are you doing? Why are you stepping on your own intro? What are you doing?
I think Chris's internet's a little laggy today.
It is. It is very laggy. Okay. So they have tied for the fewest amount of losses. They've showed that they got heart and they're not afraid to step down from anybody. Pistons are the king again this week. All right. Only 13 losses. First in the East. Give me the Pistons as a king. And for the Queen, because they are closing the gap. They've won 5 in a row. They're about ready to catch OKC. I'm putting the Spurs back in the Queen spot out of the West in front of OKC. And because they're on a win streak, they are dealing with their own injuries. They are outproducing what anybody thought they were going to be able to do this year. Rod, I have your boys, the Boston Celtics, as the prince.
Let's go. I didn't think you'd ever put them in the hierarchy. Let's go. Joe Maz, my guy. Listen, do you guys want a quick Joe Mazzulla story? This is how Joe Mazzulla is incredible. All right. Blake Griffin, shout out to the new crew doing things over on Amazon Prime. Blake Griffin is talking about his short time as a Boston Celtic. And he talks about coming into the facility. And he talks about being come and ushered around the corner to where he's going to meet Coach Joe Mazzulla. And he hears a bunch of grunting and hitting. And he's like, what's going on in there? And they're like, oh, Joe's in there doing karate. And so Blake Griffin walks through the door. Joe Mazzulla's in there. And Joe Mazzulla says, hi, Blake, I'm Joe. And then he introduces whatever. This is my sensei. So the first time Blake Griffin ever meets Mazzulla, Joe Mazzulla introduces his sensei. I love this man. Thank you, Joe Mazzulla, for being coach of the Celtics. And thank you, Celtics, for continuing to be the cream of the crop in the East. Let's go.
Second best defense in the league too, right? Like I'm shocked they're this good. They supplanted the Knicks as the number 2 seed right now. So all props to Boston. Makes me mad how good you are. And of course the
practicing.
I don't care how many illegal screens are out there. Boston's still pretty good. But if you're a team that you continue to lose every week that I come on here and you can't win a game, you just keep that losing streak on and on. I mean, for God's sake, they've put the beam into storage. They don't even pull it out anymore. All right, the Sacramento Kings, you're this week's jester again.
Here, let's do something positive for the Kings. Dax, what's a better use for the beam right now since the Kings don't need it to light up after victories? What else could we use the beam for?
Man, I mean, I'm sure there's probably a lot of, street lights are out, maybe a rave, California rave party. There could be something with fun with that. Attractions, you can sell a lot of souvenirs and concessions and such.
That's a good idea.
Hey,
I like
Rod.
Concessions, always good.
Rod, the Kings are getting beat by 20 points right now. And they're getting beat by the Jazz in the second quarter by 20 points. So that's how bad the Kings are.
Oh.
I do want to shout out the Milwaukee Bucks, who will not lose. They will not surrender without a fight. Cam Thomas, 34 points in the second game with the Bucks to destroy the Orlando Magic by 8 points in the victory tonight. So go Bucks.
Cam Thomas had 34. Good God.
Yep.
Milwaukee really just will let anybody score when Giannis isn't on the court. Like literally, like you could be sitting in the second row and like the ball comes to you and you hit a jump shot and Doc Rivers is gonna be like, "Hey, go spot up in the corner for me for 7 minutes. It's ridiculous up there when Giannis doesn't play.
Dax, we really appreciate you jumping on with us. Thank you so much. Anything else before you head out?
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's always enjoyable, and a lot of basketball to come, so it'll be a fun finish.
Jimmy, wait a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I think you're going to go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're about to do some wrestling talk, and Dax is going to be, before you know it, he's going to be joining us on Yeah We Know. So ask him who his favorite female wrestler is, Jimmy. I think you're going to be excited.
Dax, who's your favorite female wrestler?
Oh, well, Rod, I still like the Queen. But I think Rod's want me to talk about good grief. Now you put me on the spot. All of a sudden it just flat. I can picture
Nia.
Nia. Nia Jax. What's wrong with liking the Nia Jax? I mean, I like Nia Jax. She gets up there. I like the heels, and she is a big heel. So
she is definitely a big heel.
I know you guys are none too enthused, but yeah, I think she's entertaining to watch.
Did you like the Royal Rumble? Oh, by the way, welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Know podcasting network. Anyway, Dax, did you enjoy the Royal Rumble? Did you watch it at all?
I have not. We're trying to get it on. There's a weird stream.
Oh yeah.
And my little girl, Ada, she's really getting into wrestling. So we've been watching Monday nights and Friday nights and trying to watch those. And she keeps reminding me we need to watch the Royal Rumble. So I thought it would be available to stream after the date, but no, you still have to pay the $29.99. And I'm like, well, that's a problem for another day. So unfortunately, I know the results, but yeah, I've not seen it, but I will watch it because that's on the to-do list.
Yeah, I think ESPN is coming under a lot of fire, obviously, with the WWE thing and YouTube TV. Hey, you're going to get it free access at some point in 2026. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you. And then this MLB deal where you have to have ESPN Unlimited, plus you have to pay the $150 for MLB for the season is just kind of ridiculous as well. But it is what it is in this day and age. I do want to ask though, Rod, big news again, another injury. The Vision is not doing very well. Seth Rollins is out. Obviously got kind of beat up, so he's not in the Vision anymore. But now Braun Breaker with a hernia had to have basically emergency surgery. Not good for Braun Breaker. Not a good time to have that.
Jimmy, did he get the hernia when he lifted up the desk for absolutely no reason at the beginning of Raw last week?
He might have. You just never know.
Remember, like he just goes over in like Corey and Graves clear out of there, and he just like, and he just hoovers the desk up because we're supposed to think he's such a badass, and he's so angry for doing that. Did he give himself a sports hernia there? Congratulations, Braun. Congratulations. You get what you get, my friend. Karma comes back around for you here, Braun. You think you could take down the Visionary? You think you could take down the Revolutionary and somebody's not coming for you? All right? Karma came for you, my friend. Maybe Seth's not well enough to do it for himself right now, and Becky's off in La La Land getting attorneys to try to fight with Adam Pearce every chance he gets, but at least somebody, and that somebody is Karma, is looking out for my guy, Jimmy. That's what I think about it.
You know, Dax, Rod is one simple-minded wrestling fan. If you mess with his boys, you're going to get the horns.
It's very true. He's passionate and very loyal, and that's why I love him.
So this is an interesting aspect because you think Braun Breaker would have been in the Elimination Chamber. He's not going to be in on that anymore. No. And now what's he do at WrestleMania? Does he wrestle? Is Rollins coming back for WrestleMania? Was that going to be the match? Was he going to try to go something even better? Which I don't even know what that would be at this point because all the titles are going to be taken care of. So this is a huge loss for the WWE at this time, and they're going to have to reshuffle a lot of the things they're going to do. One thing they needed to reshuffle is they needed to get Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes back to good graces with the fans because of the CM Punk and Roman Reigns interaction they had on Raw. Rod, do you think Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes did enough to kind of put that title back up?
No, because I just don't know that you're going to be able to match the box office of CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. You're just like, no matter what you do, I don't care if you have the American Nightmare, and thankfully Chris is having some, well, not thankfully that something's going on with Chris.
Wow.
He's not here right now to yell at me when I bring this up about Drew McIntyre. He just doesn't quite have the wattage to push Cody Rhodes up over the top. He just doesn't. He's a great professional wrestler. You and I will give him his flowers all day long for being wonderful at his craft. but he's not over enough. So no, I think Cody Rhodes cut a hell of a promo. I like that Cody is turning to a little bit more edge. I like we're getting closer to heel Cody, but no, there's no way that anybody's going to do anything that's going to make their thing seem as big as Roman versus Punk. No chance.
Well, I just think that Drew McIntyre, like you said, is not going to overtalk Reigns or Punk, but he can't overaction them. I was shocked that he was not at Raw on Monday, coming out of the crowd, beating somebody down. That has to happen for that title to get a little bit more prestige, because Dax.
Jimmy,
no, go ahead.
You're
yeah,
shocked.
Go ahead.
Jimmy, you're shocked, right? But you're not disappointed, because you get so sick of that repetitive. Somebody's got to run out and somebody's got to squash things. You get so sick of that. So you might be shocked, but you got to get somewhere down in the deep subcockles of your heart. You're kind of excited that they didn't at least lean on the same old tried and true.
The more we can get the word cockles into our broadcasts, the better, even if our equipment is not as expensive as other people would want them to be. I think, Dax, that in this case, it warranted some action. There's so many times when you got two people wrestling, it's a great match, 15 minutes in, and they just have everyone do a schmaz. This, on the other hand, Punk's doing an interview, out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre beats him down. The next week, Reigns is out there, Drew McIntyre beats him down. Cody Rhodes comes in. Something's got to happen, Dax.
Yeah, and we're talking about Drew McIntyre, and Chris isn't here to talk about him.
Right now. That's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, and I know I'm not really the biggest McIntyre fan, so I don't like seeing his rear end coming in the ring and doing as he pleases. I'm not a fan of that man, so.
Not of the fan of the man, but I know we are fans of Mello and Rod. Mello and Miz had a good match. Mello is killing it right now. Andre the Giant Battle Royal winner, if I remember correctly.
That's right. Mello, don't Miz. We're definitely not doing that any longer. And it's the thing, Jimmy, where like we kind of go on this weird cycle with the Miz, right? Where like we have times where we're like, all right, we've had enough of Miz. And then there'll be other times where we're like, you know what, man, the Miz. It's like he goes on this weird roller coaster, you know what I mean? And like he's not somebody because he's been around the WWE for like 20 years, you know what I mean? Like the Miz is a little more advanced than you give him credit for. So he's not going to be able to go out there and do banger after banger after banger. The guy needs a little time off. But when he's ready and there's a storyline that the fans are sort of ready to see him get beat down for, there's nobody better. Jimmy's the Glass Joe of the WWE. We talk about it all the time.
He is. Dax, were you able to watch that matchup between Mello and Miz?
I didn't see that one, no.
So I would say that Mello, the United States Championship is great because you have that open challenge, and you're going to get a banger every week. Dragunov and Mello, they're going to do it again, and it's going to be great again just because you're getting the good wrestlers in there, and they're telling stories at the same time. Rod, you can do both. It's amazing.
Oh, it's almost as if Triple H said to himself, I really got to tighten up storytelling. And, maybe I should actually present some good wrestling matches for a change. It's really, it's novel to think, Jimmy, that those of us that enjoy the art of professional wrestling would like to see some of the old school things every once in a while. Give us some moves. Give us a 10-minute match where we have some actual things that we're used to. Somebody's up, somebody's down. Somebody's up, somebody's down. Oh, my goodness, it's a surprise finish. Like, we just don't get enough of that anymore.
I am tired of all this toxic talk, Rod. I'm sorry, your boy got destroyed. Your boy got destroyed. Obafemi.
That's what he's supposed to do. That's what he's
and it's
supposed
great.
To do.
Are you a big fan of Obafemi? Have you been able to see him, Dax?
I've seen he is a monster, man. So yeah, he'll be fun to watch coming in. But yeah, he's a bull. He's just like a big rhinoceros, this ridiculous guy, man. Like I was impressed. But a little girl and I saw first, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's new. I'm like, God, yeah, he is new. Like this guy's gonna wreck skulls.
Yeah, there's been talk about him and Lesnar at WrestleMania. I don't know if we need to go there yet. I think we need to figure out what we're going to do with Gunther at WrestleMania first, because Gunther is somebody who might want to you might want to put him in against Brock Lesnar. But then do you have him go against SummerSlam and Brock Lesnar in Minnesota? So many things to talk about there as well. But the big news out of SmackDown, next week, Rod, we're going to get Jade Cargill defending her championship against Jordynne Grace. I believe this is Jade Cargill's first televised championship match since she won it about 90 days ago.
Yeah. My thoughts on Jade Cargill are never incredibly positive, right? Are the building blocks there? No question, right? No question the building blocks for a professional wrestler is there. The charisma, we're lacking a little bit there. The in-ring skill, we're lacking a little bit there. But as you say all the time, Jimmy, that can't really be her fault. The only way she can get better at wrestling is to wrestle, and they're just not given a lot of opportunities to do that anymore. My problem with the match is this, Jim. Why are we just cooking up Jordynne Grace right now to feed her to Jade Cargill to lose immediately? Why don't we continue to have Jordynne Grace seem like a big deal and not stamp her as a big deal immediately by saying, look, she's a big deal. She's fighting for the championship, but all she's going to do is lose and then not really be a big deal. I would love to see Jordynne Grace be built up as somebody that clearly is a powerhouse. We don't have Bianca Belair Black right now. Rhea Ripley is involved in this weird, I don't know what I want to describe it as, her and Io Sky going on right now, but it's not Rhea Ripley as the ultimate badass that she's been before. Nia Jackson, Lash Legend exist as these new rulers that are coming and dominating and exerting their force over people. Jordynne Grace can be that for you, but now she's just going to go and lose to Jade Cargill. I don't get it.
Oh, it's because she's not going to lose to Jade Cargill, Rod. Dax, you know what's going to happen. They're going to wrestle for 3 minutes, and maybe Nia Jax comes in. Why not? Just have her come in. There is no way this match ends cleanly, Dax.
Oh, that sounds like it's like just ripe for the picking for some of the stuff that Rod wants to happen. Some of the crazy surprise. I don't know. Who knows how it'll go down? But I like the Nia Jax coming in and throwing a wrench and everything.
Yeah, Rod, I'm sorry. I just you're right on everything you said, which is why they're not going to have either of them lose. This is going to be disqualification somehow, and I don't like it. I do love Jordynne Grace. I'm a big fan of Cargill as well. I agree with you on everything you said. She needs to continue to work on it. She has had a lot of house show matches when they were overseas for the Rumble week. They did have a lot of house shows, which is good. But still, having Jordynne Grace and Cargill before Elimination Chamber, I thought was an interesting addition as well. Something else.
They got to work on Jade's music too, Jimmy. They got to work on.
They got to work on all the music. Every music, like they've got about 5 songs that are great. Keep them. Be done with it. But then just rework everybody so you know who's coming out. That's the most important thing.
It's also like the quiet build is good for somebody like Roman Reigns, okay?
Yes.
But Jade, you haven't built up enough equity for the quiet build. You need something that, boom, explodes and you are on the scene. The quiet storm, like build up and then you're walking through the rain bullshit is just not working.
Walking through the rain bullshit. I like it.
She doesn't do that anymore where they have like the rain.
No, you're fine. I just like the way you said it. There's a couple more things. There's so much that happened this week in wrestling, which is really nice to actually have to talk about some feuds going on. Natty. It's not Natalya anymore. It's Natty. She destroyed Maxine Dupree. It's one of those where she just beat her down and beat her down and beat her down and beat her down. Do we like the new look Natty, Rod?
We love the new look Natty, right? The low-key legend. I mean, all of those things are absolutely fabulous. You hinted at that this was a thing that Natalya was doing in other shows. And my only problem is, Jim, like, what did we do with Maxine Dupree? What did we do with Maxine Dupree for all that time only to just turn around and have her absolutely squashed out by Natty? That's my only question.
It seems that this feud went from being a 6 to 8 month feud to a 3 to 5 week feud in a matter of a couple of days. And I mean, they wanted to push Maxine Dupree because she's got the look, but she's just not ready yet for that. And that's okay, because you have 20 women on the roster. You have several women in NXT who have all the same attributes that Maxine Dupree has. that are better than her. So maybe they just decided to kind of veer off, I guess, but that seems like it was a longer feud that stopped early, Rod.
I like what you said there too, that like at some point we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing? If Maxine's
Correct.
not going to get the push, and if she's not going to show sudden improvement, and you said it yourself, there's so many people behind her that could maybe step into that void. What are we doing? I like to look at Maxine Dupree as much as the next guy, but there's lots of good-looking women all around the place. So either you can wrestle or you can't.
And why can't we do this in NXT? Have her go down to NXT and do it. Bring up Sol Ruca and put her in this, in this feud. Why not? I know not everyone can be a main eventer. There's got to be some work in here, but I think she needs that work down in NXT, honestly.
Because all that's going to happen, right, is if you keep trying to get her work on the main roster, Jim, you're just going to push her further and further down, right? We did this work to make her Intercontinental Champion. We gave her a Madison Square Garden match. We put her up against the man, right? We had these great vignettes that she did with Natalya. So we birthed a low-key legend out of Maxine. So all of this is good work for her. But if you keep trying to have her work now, she's clearly not going to beat anybody. And then she's just going to become Otis. And she already did that.
El Grande Americano and El Grande Americano.
Let's go.
Rod, I think Ludwig Kaiser should be El Grande Americano, and when they inevitably have their mask versus mask match, Chad Gable should lose because I think Ludwig Kaiser's doing a great job.
I think that Bravo and Rayo would agree with you. I think that if Ludwig Kaiser loses his ability to be El Grande Americano, our guy, the big strong boy Tyler Bate, and your guy Pete Dunne are going to be struggling for work, considering neither one of them can wrestle under their surname right now.
How dare you?
Rayo,
First of all, they're
Bravo,
an amazing
Americano.
tag team. They could wrestle DI biscuits.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to your guy Johnny Gargano for bringing planking back, by the way, Jim.
Johnny Gargano. Tommaso Ciampa is a title holder in AEW after his first week, so congratulations to Tommaso Ciampa. I really love
AEW look completely, just making AEW look completely non-important. That Ciampa can show up for a week and be a title holder.
I love El Grande and El Grande, but we also have a championship match to talk about too. Dax, Finn Balor versus CM Punk at Elimination Chamber. Does anyone in the world think that Finn Balor can beat CM Punk when they've already set the main event for WrestleMania?
Oh, something's gonna happen. You know, it's like, yeah, obviously, I think everybody's rooting for CM Punk.
Not Chris.
well, you know, he can have his Finn, and that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. He's just a sneaky little rat. And so I got a feeling that, you know.
Hey, watch your mouth. Chris is a co-host on this show.
No, I see there's being some chaos happening for sure.
And is that chaos the demon, Jimmy?
It's funny because Finn Balor talked about, I think it was with Cody Rhodes. He talked about the demon in NXT and in New Japan. The demon was just something he did for special events. It wasn't, you can't beat the demon, right? It was just something fun. Well, in the WWE, it was, you can't beat the demon. Of course, Roman Reigns beat the demon. So does he come out as the demon or in face paint against CM Punk in Elimination Chamber when we know he's going to lose? Or do they do that to put that little piece of doubt in your head that, oh, wow, he's the demon. He could actually lose this. I kind of think that's where they're going to go with it. I think he's going to come out as the demon.
Yeah, I mean, he did make mention of it as well. He brought the worlds together. He said, I was in the ring with Roman Reigns. It's like, I didn't think you were in the ring with Roman Reigns. I thought it was the demon. But listen, Jimmy, any way that we might be able to get closer to Demonito showing up, right? Like if the demon shows up in this match, then maybe he can fight Mr. Iguana and we can have Demonito versus Asuka. Let's go.
We had LA Knight and Rhea Ripley both advance to the Elimination Chamber. So right now we have in the men's LA Knight, and Randy Orton. In the women's chamber, we have Rhea Ripley and Tiffany Stratton. Rod, any chance anyone but Cody Rhodes wins the men's chamber?
Unfortunately, I did think that to myself. I'll tell you what, the one person that might be able to win, not named Cody Rhodes, is Jacob Fatu.
Wouldn't I'm just thinking about this right now, and Dax definitely throw in on this as well. What if we just do Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania in a one-on-one grudge match? What do you think, Dax?
I think that'd be killer. I mean, that would be that would be a fight for sure. You bring up a lot of intrigue there, as far as I like that about as far as, how that's going to come to end in the chamber, and that would be a good WrestleMania match.
Because then, Rod, if we do that, day one WrestleMania, Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight, probably not, or Randy Orton to start off the show, that's a pretty good spot.
I like it. The reason that I bring up Fatu is shout out to Kaz over on the Masked Man show, because he, I believe, is the one that said this, right? Like, no, I think actually it was the Masked Man himself, Shoemaker. Anyway, Roman Reigns doesn't need to win the Rumble to justify being in a main event. And so the reason I say Jacob Fatu is because put him in a match with somebody, and then we can turn Cody heel more, right? He can get a little, hey, I'm Cody Rhodes, friggin' put me in the match. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care that he won the Elimination Chamber and then I'm not, put me in the match. I'm the American Nightmare. I carried this company on my back for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, I fought The Rock, blah, 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 all that. That's why I say Fatu, because it's like, okay, fine. Cody wins Elimination Chamber. Roman wins Royal Rumble. That's just, it doesn't seem exciting to me.
Yeah, you talk about getting something different, getting something new, and then you almost went with Reigns and Cody, So, yeah, I mean, I think that would be, it'd be something different. We're looking at maybe a three-way at WrestleMania with Fatu,
They
Cody,
have to.
and Drew.
They have to. I mean, they always have to have some sort of a three-way, Jim, with the way they're doing the commercials, right? Where we got 5 guys in there and Heyman, like there has to be a three-way some way.
Does Fatu win by beating Drew, and then he and Cody then have a feud built in, or the opposite? Honestly, maybe Fatu hits Drew with something.
No, I like that. Cody just announces himself as, I'll be waiting on night 2 for whoever wins night 1. Cody just announces himself and just puts himself in a match.
Maybe he could. Lots going on. Anything else you want to talk about before we head out, Rod?
No, I hope everything is okay with Chris. I enjoyed that we could speak about Drew McIntyre freely, but hope everything is okay with the old man down there. And Daxter, man, your maiden voyage on Yeah We Know. We're going to get you back in a couple weeks now. We're going to expect you to be all caught up on the Rumble now.
I'll do my best. I know my daughter definitely helps keep me in check nowadays, so that makes it a little easier.
You have been listening to the Morgan You Know podcast on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Riverside. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, we know. Let me talk to you.
All right, gentlemen. We're going to still stay on just for the heck of it. Why not? Dax, thanks for coming. Really appreciate it. It's
good talking to you guys.
Love talking about tanking because that's all we do in the NBA, even though there's great games going on.
He was so.
Yeah,
listen,
we'll stop
lucky.
it now. We'll stop it now. Calm down. Chat, calm down. I know we're still live. Jeez,
I was so ready to jump all over